Operation Status Quo. Operation Status Quo, prepare to engage. Operation Status Quo, ready to engage. Operation Status Quo, engaged. Engaged. Hello, 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 my beautiful people out there. It's Wednesday, moving through the week. Moving through the week. How we feeling out there? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling good? I am. I always say the same. My goodness gracious. Well, hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Operation Status Quo. Of course, here I am Pete Palma. I am your host, as usual. I haven't had any other hosts, actually. I've been the only host of this show. So maybe one day down the line, Operation Status Quo will be hosted by someone else, but I can't say that for certain. But who the hell knows, right? What'll happen in the future? Maybe it'll be like syndicated, and it'll be like multiple hosts on site in different locations. I don't know. Just wanted to figure it'd be a good idea to start off on some kind of tangent since I normally do that. When I start, I kind of just, excuse me, I just start talking. And it takes me a minute or two just to kind of, I'm trying to come on calm, nice and calm. And not get too but you know how it goes with the way my brain works. If you're here on a regular basis, you know this already and you understand. And I appreciate your kindness and support for my my horrific mental conditions. But anyway, today is the today. Well, first of all, it's Operation Status Quo. This is the place where we observe the status quo of life. We learn to flow with the status quo of life, and then of course we create our own flow of quo, because that's the only way to go. When we're living in today's world, we have to be strong and stand up and live from our hearts and how we believe and what is right for us, because otherwise we'll just let all these entities and corporations and government powers and everything else just push us around and continue to keep us bottled up into the little petri dish of shit, as I always say, and keeping us as these socioeconomic slaves like they have been for so many generations. But thank God, we're moving away from that, and we don't even have to fight about it and get crazy. All we have to do is realize it and understand. We see the big picture now. We understand that we've been suppressed all this time, and now we can just live from our hearts and go forward and create the new world we want to create. And that's what Operation Status Quo is all about. This space is just a space to, kick it and chill, man. We're going to kick it and chill, and just have our little conversations and talk about life and all different facets of what's going on in the world and so on and so forth and so forth and so on. Okay. All right. What was I going to say there? Oh, by the way, before I get started today, I did just want to mention that yesterday, I forgot to say, was 6 months so far of Operation Status Quo being engaged, ladies and gentlemen. So 6 months. Hopefully, you guys have been enjoying out there. It's been fun. It's been fun for me and trying to play with different things. And at the very least, I feel I'm coming here most days of the week, trying to put out just a little positive vibe that maybe puts a little smile on your face or gives you a different perspective or that kind of thing or whatever. Whatever the case may be, I'm going to continue on until I guess I either get kicked off the internet or I get, I don't know, if maybe they use one of those space lasers and just evaporate me, then I probably won't be back if that happens. But otherwise, I plan to continue one way or another, even if things change over time, right? Like I can imagine it's not going to be like this all the time with the same thing, right? Probably over time you get new ideas and new inspiration and you move forward in a different way. But you guys is what it's all about. I care about you, the people out there. I'm a man of the people. You're the people. I love the people. So first and foremost, remember, that your participation and comments and thoughts and ideas are welcome here. So, please share something that you'd like to see. Maybe you'd like to see a little different decoration in the back. I can do per listener request or viewer request, I can put a different item up on the wall at a different time, So And if you're here with me live on the live stream, I appreciate your time, and feel free to drop comments at any time because I'm always happy to participate with you, the people out there. And I'm just checking this here. Why is this the way it is over here? I just want to check something, part of my checking. Okay, we're good. We're good to go. So anyway, today is the 20th of September in the good year 2023, ladies and gentlemen. And today's episode is entitled No Time for Time. And I thought about talking about this because I always say this when I talk about anything, essentially. I always talk about, there's no such thing as time and there's no such thing as time. And I just felt it would be kind of fun to delve into like, the real depth of that a little bit. Not that I have anything, like, I'm no, I'm no physicist or, but my own mental depth of it, because like I talk about all the time, like, especially everything that's going on in the world, first and foremost, I always try to say we have to start at the base point of realizing that, this life, is the dream, right? And part of this life being the dream is like, time is a dream in a sense, right? What I really look at time, let me take my step back before I get into it, because I know I'm about to jump three steps ahead of myself. It starts all from the oneness, right? The one space source, which is the complete oneness of everything, where there is no time. Everything is like all one across the board, right? And it just kind of ebbs and flows, or whatever the case may be. Of course, us in these embodiments as three-dimensional human beings, the brains, if you want to say, are computers. They just can't comprehend the level of what's really out there beyond our current physical, what we see, circumstance, right? It's almost like taking, you got the old Atari 2600. I used to love the Atari 2600. I'm showing my age, of course, but that was my favorite. I was good at those games, so I like Atari 2600. So the Atari 20. It's like taking like one of the cartridges that you would play for Atari 2600 and trying to stick it into, I don't know, whatever the hell's out there today, some Xbox or something that you don't even use cartridges anymore. I don't even know I guess you just download the games. I'm not a gamer, so I don't even know. I guess they don't even have discs anymore for the games. I don't know what they do. What are the kids doing today? But that's aside from that. It's like trying to take that level of information and putting it into something more complex that is not going to be able to handle it. And that's kind of the same as what I see as far as how we perceive time. But here's the interesting thing that I kind of thought about it in a different way, more so. And this came from a couple different things I had seen on YouTube of somebody interviewing somebody and kind of just talking about these ideas in general. And what I really liked about it is, we look at time, right? Like, okay, here, tick, 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 one moment, we're in this moment, it's a moment, and a moment, and now it's this moment, now it's this moment, now it's this moment, right? That kind of way. When in truth is, right, if I go back to what I said, that everything is one moment, everything's one moment, but it all like kind of builds on itself. So you can only perceive so much of it, at a time, right? And it's also interesting when I think about all the stuff we talk about here on Operation Status Quo, how, powers that be use truths of the universe against us because, we're not given that pool of knowledge as a basis to start from. So, think about it, and I've talked about this multiple times about how we're programmed, right? But it's not like we're just, they just started programming you 2 days ago, and you know what I mean? Like this is like because the powers that be understand the concept of that there really isn't time, right? They're not worried about the next week or the next, it's all there because there is no next week, next this. It's all one, flat kind of plane. So it's almost like, how do you guide the perceptions, the energies, the frequencies towards where you want them to guide, for the physical manifestations you want to see come forth over a course of however long it takes to get there, right? So, just say I use this example multiple times too before. I'm only going back to when my mother, because my mother was born in the year television came out, right? So I think to myself, think of the people back then who, never had TV, right? So the movies were first, really, right? So people would go to the movies, and that got people used to, just sitting in a room looking at a screen and a screen showing them, something. And back then, right, it was silent films before they even had, sound and everything else with it. But just to say, that was like step one of getting people used to sitting in front of a screen. And then they bring the screen into your home, so that's, and again, I'm referencing this in regard to time because, that's how everything just builds on itself to create the perception of what we think is normal and what is real, right? So they bring the TV into the house. Then the next thing is, from, back then, right, not everybody had a TV in the house, so you'd have to go to your neighbors and whatever, right? Only a couple people in the TV. Then one TV in the house turns into like every room in the house has a TV at some point. Then it turns into a phone in your hand, and with whatever's going to be next, the holographic images that we can just produce like in front of our face. But either way, I'm getting a little off tangent, but which is, hey, thanks for being here. This is me. What's going on. We're always going to have to get a little off point because it all it's so hard to perceive and put it into a context, because the human mind's not really designed to understand. The whole point of our existence is to be these linear beings in a sense, because that's what makes us, everything's tangible, and that's what puts us like in direct, contact with the present moment, and every moment's the present moment, really, because there really is only one present moment, but us in this capacity can only perceive little blips of it at a time. And I think it's important, like, from going back to what I was just saying about, because I don't want to make it all heavy on like us being programmed and conspiracy and, and all that stuff. I mean, the essence of time is what it is. And, and I said this, I believe yesterday when I was talking that, it really, and I always want to try to hold true to this because, we all get worked up in our emotions in different ways, the different facets of what's going on in the world. But, the truth is the wide expansion of it all is that, there has to be that contrast. Like I said, there has to be, the dark side of things and the positive side of things, so that there can be the contrast, so that while we are here believing we are perceiving this linear time step by step by step, we're engaged, with what has been constructed on the, levels of frequency and energy beyond us before we even got there. It's like our minds are like Play-Doh, it's really the crazy truth. I'm speaking from myself too, because obviously we're all programmed, right? Programmed in a way of, believing that in our day-to-day world, believing in our day-to-day life, and in the little confines of social aspects and stuff, of what's acceptable, what's not, like, it's so expansive, right? I mean, it's so expansive that and that's why I always say there is no right or wrong, good or bad, because like it all just is based on perception. We, as humans in this form, I feel, are just an observation point. We're just that one. Each of us are just a blip and an observation point, as far from the whole, and like we each have a different perspective. There's no two humans in the world that are seeing things exactly the same, perceiving even time the same way, right? Like, and you just think in your day-to-day life, obviously, when you're doing something that's, you're really into it, and it's just kind of flowing, you're just, whatever it is for you, a hobby or a work or just whatever, right? And the time just goes like, oh, I didn't even realize. I sat down and started reading this book, and I can't believe it. It's been 3 hours went by, but 3 hours didn't really go by, right? Because it's just the one moment. It's just the one moment. But just to kind of bring it back together again with the little bit of the programming part of it, because I don't even talk about programming as much. I just like this, when I had heard these people talking on one of the videos I watched, I just really liked the concept of us and how much pressure we put on ourselves with time and what we think time is, and how we base our life, on time in a way. Like, we'll get mad at ourselves, right? Because we want to do so many things in a day. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time, right? And we try to, and then, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to get a lot of things accomplished right away in one day, because we just want to check things off the list. And then there's like bigger projects that people never take on because they feel like, oh, I just don't have, it takes too much time. Like, just say you want to learn a new language or learn to play piano, and like, you're middle-aged or something. Maybe you just start thinking, oh, I'm too old, or, that'll take forever. And, you never just, when in reality, the time isn't there. And all the days you're sitting there saying, oh, I can't do this because it takes too much time. But, from our perspective, this time is past where you would have been playing the piano already for 2 months, or you'd be already half speaking another language because you would have been just kind of studying it all along. So like, because of our own perception of time, we limit ourselves on what we accomplish. We try to if we don't get it all done, like, here's my checklist of the day and we didn't get it all done, I'm no good. But we don't have enough time to take the time when we're going to be alive for another 30 years to maybe learn to play the piano, So I just think for ourselves, and as we move into this new paradigm, as our world changes, like, I'm always talking about taking pressure off ourselves, right? I can't prove, what's time. They talk about time's not observable, or, time always moves, I had some notes over here too, but I just don't want to get into the scientific stuff of it. I'll just be reading off of, the internet. I like to just speak from my heart when I'm here doing my show, and just kind of how things vibe, and how they feel. So, again, like, I don't see any reason for us to put limitations on ourselves, but more so, realizing that people, others understand these higher frequencies that, we haven't, been taught. And it makes it easy to then keep people, in a certain way and guide the population just like little by little. It's like the same thing. This is my cover for my camera, by the way, this is my little bag, my cover. So if I show this to you and tell you, this is blue. And you go, no, that's not blue. That's black. And I go, no, it's blue. Okay. And then the next day I come back and I go, that's blue, and you go, no, it's black. Right. And then maybe you see somebody else hold this up and go, oh, it's blue. And then you see a little article on the internet that says this is blue. Right. And like, I just mean like, that's how like, it's just like very slow and like, I'm surreptitious is the right word I want to use, but it just like kind of slowly, is pervasive and gets into your, consciousness little by little until one day you pick this up and you go, I'll be damned, this is blue. I can't believe I ever thought it was black. It's blue. And that's the interesting thing about time, like, is that that's all it really takes. Everything builds on the next thing. Think about you as a life. Like we look at ourselves, as we're a child, we're an adult, we get older, we just go through this life. But aside from our physical changes as we move forward in the expression of the body, think about everything that's built up, mentally, and, behind the scenes, but during the whole time that you're growing and learning, right? So, I mean, like, you can look back on experiences you had when you were a child in your teens and your 20s and your and you can look back on those experiences you in the present moment don't necessarily feel any different, right? You're like, damn, that was how many years ago? And gosh, I'm going to be how old in another 10 years? And, but no matter where you are in that spectrum, ultimately you're there, you're in that present moment. You're either reflecting on what was, or you're pondering what may be in the future, but ultimately you're always in this same space. The only thing that gives it credence in this 3D world is the fact that our physical essence, changes just like anything else. Like a tree grows and dies, like a flower grows and dies, like any other animal. I mean, it's just the nature of the physical existence. But just to finish on that, where was I going? This happens to me. Sometimes the brain goes into automatic. It's like, if you let your phone sit out in the heat too long and the iPhone starts like shutting down on itself, that's what happens to my brain sometimes. But just talking about how everything builds on each other. So, who you are today is a combination of all those little increments, and it's not about, and that's not time is what I'm trying to say. That's not time, because everything is the one moment, but it's more so instead of calling it time, it's more like I don't know what word to use, but it's like just a soaking. It's almost like when you marinate, there we go. It's almost like when you're marinating something that you're going to cook, you put it in there, you let it sit, and just, let it sit for 24 hours or whatever amount of time you're going to let it marinate. And it's just, the spices, the juices, the whatever, just seeps into the structure of the very thing you're going to cook, and it becomes infused. That's how I kind of like see time in a way. It's just more like, because there is essentially no time, everything one moment. Again, we're kind of marinating, in these bodies and taking in bits of information, bits of knowledge, little by enough of what the human mind can handle, and enough that gives us the perspective to be able to learn and grow from the experiences within these tangible experiences. That's why people come to the Earth School, or souls, I should say, come to the Earth School, to begin with, because it's the most dynamic. From what I watch a lot of stuff on past life regression and different speakers on those type of realms, and they all kind of basically say, this is the place that souls really want to come if they're trying to really learn and grow, because the dynamic of our spiritual essence, having to work with the directness or the hardness or whatever you want to say of the physical existence. That contrast in itself, perpetuates more growth, because you're just deep in it. I can't speak on the other. I mean, I'm sure we've all been to the other side. We're all already there on the other side, essentially. But I can't here as me, Pete, talking. I can't, extrapolate exactly what it feels like. I mean, the only thing I can come close to is when you're sometimes in those moments of just peace with your breath and stuff, and when time does seem like it's not there, or you're just kind of really not thinking thinking of much. Like that's kind of more like living on the other side. I'm sure it's grander than just like, taking a nap. But anyway, overall, I do feel that it's important for us to just understand that dynamic, because that and when you live that way, and this is again why I do this show and everything else of what the messages I'm trying to put forth. When you kind of just, I know it's a complex perspective in a certain way, right? It just kind of rattles your brain and stuff. But at the same time, like if you can just get a little bit of that basis of thinking that way and looking at life that way, just think of all the pressure that it takes off, right? It takes off all the pressure of having to be so perfect based on the parameters that are set forth that we think we're supposed to be based on all the programming and the judgment and everything else that goes on. So anyway, I think that pretty much sums it up. Let me give a round of applause. Hey, how you doing out there? What's going on? Anybody out here? Let me see. Anybody out here? Check out my chat. No? All right. Hey, listen. If you want to say hello, you say hello. If you don't, you don't. But hey-o. Seriously, guys, that's really what it's all about. I think, I always want to say life is beautiful. It is really beautiful. We all have our moments where things aren't so easy. We all have our hang-ups at certain times, and we all have our doubts and fears at certain times. Like, it's something can happen in your life just like that flips, the script in a way, and you look at things in a whole nother way. I try to be mindful of that myself, because I'm generally an upbeat, positive person, and I really do feel happiness and love in my heart just day to day. Like it's nothing I have to try to do. I really don't let the outside world get me upset too much. But again, we all have our stuff, and things can happen, and I think when things do happen in our life, that's the challenge, right? To go back to this space and kind of remember these concepts and how broad they are and how much more we are than, just trapped in this body, So, and, I liken it to sickness a lot, because this is the last tangent I'll go on, but, people get some kind of illness or, whatever, and they're dying, God forbid, but I just mean, those are the times where, right, when people really start trying to figure things out, so I don't know. And I just think when something like that happens, just like I say about anything else, it's all part of the universe working how it's supposed to work, for all the energies to balance out how they're supposed to balance out. If someone has a long-term illness or like a cancer or something like that makes them sick and wind up passing away, I just feel it's a lesson for that soul that soul understood before coming there, even if you don't understand it in your day-to-day. Like if I, God forbid, so I think about that sometimes as I get older. What if I could, I always talk about living healthy and drinking my vegetable juice and all the things I do. And, these people would just love it. They would just love it if I got cancer, wouldn't they? Yeah, they would. They'd be like, look at this guy. He's always talking about drinking his juice, and now he's dying. No, people, drink your vegetable juice. It's good for you. Hey-o. Get out there and get a nice juicer. Make yourself a big juice every day. It feels good, right? So anyway, that's all I have for you here today on Operation Status Quo. So just, go with the flow. Time won't give me time, right? Because there is no such thing as time. And just not even say that we have to be so demonstrative on there's no such thing as time. Just give yourself a break and look at time in a different way. And just, you can feel it in your heart if you really feel it, the expansiveness of everything. And yeah, we always have to come back to center and be focused to maintain our physical existence. But, if you really just drop into that expansiveness, like you really can feel it, and it brings I think it brings a lot of joy. I think it brings a lot of peace. So, in these times, especially what we're going through now and how our world is, we all deserve, peace, and it's here for us. So just give it to yourself. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? Give yourself peace and love, and just keep on keeping on, because, oh my gosh, I hate when I do that. Oh my gosh. Let me see if I can go back over here. I don't know how to get rid of this. Hold on. I'm sorry. My computer is so finicky. Like it keeps switching my screen over, and I never hit. Please, I'm not going to get into the technical stuff. All right. But again, peace in your heart, peace, and just live true to yourself, and that's it. I mean, that's all we're talking about, and just remember the expansiveness. I think I said everything I have to say, right? You can go back and watch it again. If I keep talking, I'll just keep saying the same stuff over and over. All right. I love you guys out there. All right, please, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time so much here on Operation Status Quo. If you haven't done so already, I ask you kindly, why not? Just for shits and giggles, subscribe, like, share, send it out to some people. Ask your friends, hey, I found this guy. What do you think? Is he crazy or is it me? Right? So like, subscribe, share, send this out to your friends, your family, those you love, those you despise as well. I mean, it helps the channel. I'm trying to grow. I want to build a community. I want to make it a place where people can come on and chat and talk, not just me, and make these discussions more open. When people feel open to getting involved in discussions, I guess they will. All right. Anyway, that's it for me here. God bless you individually as well as a group. I love you and all that stuff. And until tomorrow, Operation Status Quo disengaged.